It's funny, prior to my gift activation, I used to have a lot of dreams. In my dreams, I'm killing people and doing all these things. And there's, oh yeah, you were just slaying demons in the astral. And I was like, I'm doing what? Oh yeah, you're slaying demons in the astral realm. I've always done this, apparently. And now I just do it with people. Some people struggle with this concept, but they're entities and demons, and it's just part of the earth game. There's other attachments, and I feel them and I see them, and I have this frequency that allows me to, yeah, like a demon slayer. I guess that's the gift I've been given, is that transmutation. My name is Peggy Oberthier, and I am a medical intuitive from Melbourne, Australia. Originally from Canada, though, if you can hear my accent. So I'm really halfway in between. 27 years in Canada, 27 years in Australia.
You also transform lives through energy transmutation and
Oh,
channel
yeah.
guidance.
Yes. So through my medical intuition, that's great. Thank you. I do channeling, I do trans channeling, different beings come in. It comes in light language. It's been coming out as perfect messages this week. It changes every day. I just allow the guides to come through, open up my channel, and whatever comes through.
I had a look at your chart, by the way.
What does that mean?
It means it's a very rare chart. I haven't seen a chart like this for a long time.
Wow. Okay. You know what's really interesting is I had this galactic astrology session on Monday with this lady. Miriam told me she'd never seen a chart like mine. I was her first client that is not from this galaxy. I have some crazy mission with the Galactic Federation. It's all very strange.
I'd love to go through some aspects of it.
I would love that. That would be amazing.
It ties
'Cause-
into a lot of the things you were talking about earlier about light language, and this gives you a blueprint. One of the things about evolutionary astrology, it's unlike typical astrology. What did your soul sign up for? This chart depicts a remarkable healer and a spiritual teacher. When I first looked at your chart, I was struck by something really profound. Your soul signed up for what I call the healer's paradox. So you chose to experience deep wounds around self-worth, specifically to become a powerful healer of others.
Wow. Yeah, that's 100% correct. Yeah.
You have a placement in the second house, which is causing a tension and a conjunction at the same time. What this reveals is you volunteered for one of the most challenging yet transformative paths possible. This isn't random suffering, it's a sacred contract. Your soul understood that to help others discover their inherent worth and heal their deepest blockages, you needed to journey through your own dark night of the soul first. If you think of it as a diamond forming under immense pressure, your early struggles with self-value created the exact conditions needed to develop spiritual resilience that allows you to hold space for others in their most intense healing processes. What fascinates me about the healing aspect is how your chart reveals what I would call the wounded healer's gift exchange. The universe seems to create a perfect match between your personal wounds and the exact healing gifts the collective needs. The wound of not feeling worthy to exist authentically becomes the key to liberating others around self-worth blocks. It's as if the cosmos said, hey, we need someone who can help people remember their inherent value. So let's send a soul who will master this lesson through direct experience.
Yeah.
There's a profound irony in this. The very wound that might have destroyed someone else becomes the source of the greatest service that you give to humanity.
Oh, it's going to make me cry, actually. You're
So
making me very overwhelmed there, Peter. Sorry. I just try to help. That's all I'm trying to do. But look, I'm 55. It's taken me a long time to get here. The self-worth, it's a long journey. I think I finally got the idea down in my head, and it's pretty solid now that I don't need that external recognition of self-worth. And I have that solid understanding that I can just serve. In fact, if I'm really attached to the outcome when I'm trying to help someone, I actually become misaligned and I'm more susceptible to getting entities and stuff on my body. So the way for me to be a pillar of alignment and serve through my heart space is I have to have this compassionate detachment from the outcome. So it's like self-worth boot camp, because as soon as I go, oh, I wonder if she liked me, I wonder if she liked the session, I don't get an email back. There is no reply. It's just I have to open up my heart space, ask the channel divine, please let me be a pillar of divine healing or light. I like to just call myself like a life raft, so that somebody's caught in the stream and I'm in the still point and I'm like, here's a life raft. I'll bring you into this pillar. I found a life raft, so float with me. So that's what I like to do. But as soon as I really want to please them or want them to heal or whatever, all of a sudden it's taking me days to recover from a session because I've taken on their energy. So the universe slaps me in the face as soon as I start getting attached to the outcome and need that approval. It's so unbelievable.
When you reflect on your early experience with self-worth and identity, can you see how those challenges prepared you to understand and work with the root causes of your clients' blockages?
100%, 100%. There was definitely a lot of self-worth issues, and I didn't, like
Mm.
every other kid well, people who are in this kind of space, I didn't have friends in prom. I gravitated towards the kids that were a bit different and sad, and I would sit with them or play with my siblings at lunchtime. I always wandered around feeling like nobody really got me because I never really got myself. I encountered every bad boss, every bad basketball coach telling me that I was no good because I was waiting for them to tell me that I was worthy, and relationships and everything. Yeah, I had some pretty bad relationships, you could imagine. The men
Mm.
that I would have chosen in my earlier days. It got me to where I am today. And then when I see the element that a lot of my clients, the ones that end up choosing me through whatever divine orchestration, they need help with that self-forgiveness, which was the last element that I really struggled with as well. I can forgive everybody and also forgive it from your heart space, not just intellectually. A lot of people have that rational understanding of trauma and generational expression of trauma. But if they're still sitting in their heart space, resenting or feeling like a victim, that is one big thing I've had to shed because boy, did I love telling my story to psychologists or anybody. Now I've got a wonderful relationship with my siblings, and my dad is a great guy. He's going to turn 90 soon. I've got a pretty good life because I'm very happy now. I don't get triggered. I don't get upset. That's what I try to help clients to do as well, which is see the triggers as lessons and soul lessons and that deep, hard shadow work. It's brutal. It's really hard. Even my two teenage daughters probably put the icing on the cake in terms of my spiritual growth because they tell you exactly how they feel and reject you because that's normal. That's what teenagers do. If you are waiting for that external recognition of, because children love you and adore you. It's so wonderful. It's addictive when you have that self-worth issue. They love mommy. When they turn teenagers, they reject you so badly. If you haven't done your work, you are in for a big shock. Yeah. So anyway, I've gotten through that. They're almost 18 and 20 now. And of course, I love myself now.
You have the signature of what I would call the mystical bridge builder. You appear as otherworldly, compassionate, and deeply intuitive, which perfectly aligns with how your clients experience you because people can sense immediately that you're someone who can access realms beyond the physical, which is
Yeah.
essential for medical intuitive work. What strikes me, you have Pisces rising with your North Node, and your North Node is your growth edges where you're walking towards, is what's called the recognition factor. I would imagine when people first meet you, they have this immediate sense of, I know you from somewhere, or I feel like I can trust you. I think this isn't coincidence. It's your energy emanating that universal compassion that makes people feel seen and understood at a soul level. Does that resonate with you?
100%. I just got an email from a client today that basically said that. And it's true because I kept thinking when I'm meeting with these people that I've known them from a past life. Everyone who saw me, I was on this podcast that had all these views and they just wrote in, I always say, where did you find me? And when we meet, they just go, I just saw you and I just knew I had to book with you. In 5 minutes, I'm like, I feel like I've known you before, but I don't know what it is. I said, do we know each other from past life? But there is a comfort and an ease and a flow to the session.
an emanation of that Piscean energy. It's
Okay.
unseen, but people pick up on the frequency and the vibration of it. It has a
Okay.
compatibility of alignment with that beacon of transmission that you can't see, but you certainly can feel it. You can stand next to somebody and you may not know them, but you think, I don't want to be near that person because of
Yeah.
what they're emanating in their auric field. What they're emanating may be toxic, or they may be depressed, or something may be going on where there's an incompatibility of alignment, a lack of resonance there. So
Hmm.
things feel offset rather than
Mm.
tuned. You have that going on. But what I found particularly interesting when I was analyzing your chart was your evolutionary journey. You have Virgo South Node, which is your past, it's your
Mhm.
comfort zone. Your North Node is where you're walking towards your growth edges. So you've got Virgo in your South Node. It suggests you've been the helper, the fixer, the one who could analyze everyone else's problems, but struggle to access your own intuitive knowing. So this lifetime is about the ultimate surrender, releasing the need to have all the answers intellectually and
Mm.
trusting the wisdom that flows through you. I imagine there may have been a pivotal moment in your healing journey where you had to stop trying to figure everything out with your mind and start feeling your way forward with your heart. Your soul chose to move from analyzing what's wrong to feeling into the energetic truth. This transition from your past to your future explains why your work is so uniquely powerful, because you have
Oh.
both the precision of trained discernment and the flow of pure intuitive knowing,
Oh, wow. You
right?
really, thank you. Wow. You eloquently summarized. Actually had one reading that alluded to something like that, but you're much more articulate in explaining it, that there was an alignment between my intellectual knowing and my claircognizance. I had no understanding of my intuition until I had this reading with this very powerful medical intuitive last year. I'd tapped into my intuition, and I had a reading with an Akashic Records person about 2 years ago, and she said, "Oh, you've got claircognizance." I was like, "What?" And you're clairvoyant. I'm like, "What?" So then I started to sit with that and going, I am getting an intuitive hit, but I didn't realize. I thought it was just experience. And then I spent more time in meditation and I started connecting to these guides. So it wasn't until this session with this powerful medical intuitive, and he just said at the end of the 3 hour session, "You're a medical intuitive." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "No, you can do what I do." I've never really tapped in and tuned into a body though. He helped unblock the blocks in my crown chakra and that fear of being seen through all those past lives of persecution and fear of speaking my truth and fear of being authentic. Through the mentorship program I did with him and working with him, I kept getting confirmation that what I was feeling and sensing was correct. I'd say, "Oh, I'm getting a knee pain." And then 3 other people in my mentorship say, "Me too," when we'd be working on a client. It was just repetitive, that kind of confirmation. My claircognizance does work. And it has worked all along, but I didn't know. You doubt yourself because I was struggling with self-worth.
Now you can experience the balance between your analytical mind and your intuitive gifts during sessions. You're able to notice when you're operating more from that precise Virgo-like analysis versus
Mm.
when you're flowing in pure Pisces intuition.
Oh, yeah. And I take a long time to prepare for clients. So anywhere from 2 hours, I just sit in that heart space frequency. I play my heart chakra bowl. I listen to this beautiful music and I call in all my guides. I do yoga moves. I walk, and it's dropping from the analytical mind into my heart. When I get there, I do a grounding exercise with my clients. I connect them to the earth and then to the cosmos. And then it just comes in. I get claircognitive and intuitive hits and clairvoyant hits about issues and people. But really, that work, I never use it as a party trick or anything like that. There has to be an exchange, an agreement, some kind of contract that I'm fulfilling. Is there something on my liver? I can't just tune into your liver like that. We don't have a contract. Sometimes I do get hits, but generally, it's a very deliberate process because it's aligned. I have to be fully aligned and in my heart space. And oftentimes those people that are just asking me, they're my close friends or family, I'm worried about, do I really say, oh, you've actually got a lot of anger there? You have to be careful. It's much better when I don't know the people. So I don't do any work on friends and family. I can't do that. I can hold space and send healing and love, but I don't do the deep work that I do with clients.
I totally resonate with that. When I was doing a lot of coaching, I wouldn't do it with family or close friends. It was always with
Mm,
people I didn't really know at all. That gave me a blank slate. There was no preconceived or biases or judgments or assessments that I had. And then to work with that is that you bring in, like you, I do a very similar thing. There's a ceremonic value in
yeah,
preparing for that. You become the terminal point where you can become an agency of amplification for that pure flow to come through you,
that's right. Yeah.
right?
I do, with a caveat in that, when I work with my other energy intuitives, medical intuitives like Patrice and my close friend Amy, we will work with each other in that capacity and help each other and provide readings, but we are both in that same frequency or the heart space, or actually Amy
Mm.
is at this incredible frequency and so is Patrice. There's a bit more of an exchange. They're helping me and I'm helping them. If the alignment's not there, it's very difficult for me to provide a random reading.
If
Makes
you have a
sense.
compatibility of alignment, that's
Yeah.
the difference. There was another placing in your chart. For your reference, you have Mars in Aquarius in the 12th house. What it suggests in relation to your work, it reveals what I would call the spiritual warrior, someone whose battles are fought on invisible planes. So you're not here to confront people directly or fight obvious enemies. You're battling the unseen forces that
Yeah.
keep humanity trapped in stuck energy, generational patterns, collective trauma, and spiritual blockages.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this
Wow.
this
That's in my
capture,
chart. Wow.
yeah, that's
I
in your chart, yeah.
wow.
And this placement captivates me because it reveals something I've noticed in many advanced healers with what I call the invisible warrior syndrome. Most people think of warriors as aggressive and confrontational, direct in their approach. But your Mars is in the 12th house, the unconscious. That represents a completely different kind of strength. So you're fighting the battles that most people can't even see, which are the energetic imprints of trauma, the
Mm.
ancestral patterns that keep families stuck, and the
Hmm.
collective wounds that span generations. What's particularly remarkable about this is how it connects to your work description of moving immense amounts of energy. From an astrological perspective, this makes perfect sense to me because Mars in the 12th house has access to what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious, the
Wow.
shared energetic field where all human experience is stored. Does that resonate with you at all?
Oh, it 100% it resonates with me. It's funny. Prior to my gift activation, I used to have a lot of dreams. In my dreams, I'm killing people and doing all these things. And there's, oh yeah, you were just slaying demons in the astral. And I was like, I'm doing what? Oh yeah, you're slaying demons in the astral realm. I've always done this, apparently. And now I just do it with people. Some people struggle with this concept, but they're entities and demons and it's just part of the earth game. There's other attachments, and I feel them and I see them, and I have this frequency that allows me to, yeah, like a demon slayer. I guess that's the gift I've been given is that transmutation. Yeah, that's what I do. And I used to be very draining work. My soul signed up to push it to the limit a little bit, is what I've been told. But I've been setting very strong intentions not to, I don't want to have too many heavy clients, but I guess that they end up coming to see me because a lot of the people that are seeing me are advanced spiritual people who have been meditating and they can feel the block. They go, there is a block in my heart chakra, or there's a block in my throat. What I can't do though is there's like childhood trauma. I can help with that for sure. But when people are stuck in their emotions of resentment, anger, and fear, it's very hard to do that. That soul has to transcend themselves. They have to sit in their heart space. They have to find the forgiveness. They have to do that work because I can help extract demons and the trauma. But if you just go back out and you swear at your husband and you're sitting in resentment and anger and fear, all your pain will come back on your body. You can't get a free pass. You still have to do the work, right? All those limiting beliefs that get stuck. I think childhood trauma will get stuck in your neck, back, shoulder pain, like in your pain in your body, or illness or digestive issues. When those emotionally charged places have that long effect without healing on a somatic level, we often see entities attached to that, which compounds the issue. Once we remove that layer of the entity, you've got rage stuck in C4. Okay, do you want to remove it? And then I might just get a date. Oh, it's like when you were 14, if the guides want me to help them go back to that. But sometimes I don't get a date because it's too traumatic. So we just want to extract it. The guides are very specific. Like today I had a client and they were just saying, don't tell her any dates. Don't tell her any dates. I've had her monthly for a few months. And last month it was anger. You're 7 years old. You weren't allowed to do that. And she's like, yeah. So the whole session was like that. And today I said, you know what? I'm not getting anything because they want you out of the story. There's no dates. We're not going back to your childhood. We're creating a new story for you. This channel message came in very clearly that she needed to create a new story. But this is somebody who's worked so hard and she speaks this great light language that helps release. So yeah, it's just how it works. That's my process. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Absolutely. It sounds like when you're working with a client, you're not accessing their personal stuck energy. You're tapping into the archetypal patterns that connect their experience to the universal human story. I think that's why your sessions can create such profound shifts, because you're working at the level of primary causes as distinct from surface symptoms. The Aquarian energy in your chart adds another layer. You're helping to liberate human consciousness itself. Each person you help release blockages contributes to the collective awakening of humanity. To my mind, and looking again at your chart, the insight that I get is that you're not just healing individuals, you're part of a larger revolution in how we understand and work with subtle energy. So when you're in session and working with particularly dense or resistant energy, do you feel that warrior aspect of yourself engaging?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do. In fact, I don't know how down the rabbit hole your listeners are, but I channel these dragon energy. The dragons come through. Sometimes, I don't know this, I would like to think it's some kind of Lemurian priestess. She'll come through and it's like my light language goes full. I don't know if you know the New Zealand haka, which is that rugby,
Yeah.
it's like, what? It sounds like this really fierce warrior. I've had to calm her down a little bit because you don't need to be that angry. But sometimes the dragons will come through and there's this whole contortion of my body and it's like this. And I say, okay, like I know there's goofy dragons in there. Let's bring in some goofiness because I really need to bring in the humor. We need people laughing and smiling. It moves the energy so much quicker. And because I burp so much and sometimes I vomit and I just go, hey, look, okay, you set the intention. I want you to try to speak your light language. Let's get rid of this. We don't need to have that in your body anymore. Let's get rid of that ex-husband out of your neck. We try to have a bit of fun. So yeah, there is that intense energy that does come through, but then I have to bring in a softness afterwards because after I liken it to you blasting kidney stones, and then you have to carefully extract them. Then usually there's this healing, loving frequency that comes through the Pleiadians. Sometimes it's a singing, it just comes out. Sometimes it's out of tune. Sometimes it sounds beautiful. It's all over the place. But the person definitely feels that love frequency come in. So I have to make that deliberate act of saying, okay, now we got to fill up that section of your neck with some love. That's how it works.
It's like you have a cosmic scalpel designed for deep spiritual surgery. Venus in your chart represents how you create relationship and healing connection, while Neptune brings the mystical dissolution that allows for profound transformation. And in Scorpio, this combination gives you the ability to love people through their darkest, most hidden places without judgment. Here's something that gave me chills. Every time I encounter this combination in a healer's chart, and that's the Venus-Neptune conjunctions, which are relatively rare, but when they appear in Scorpio in the ninth house, I am looking at someone who has been cosmically equipped for soul surgery.
Wow.
Because
Okay. That's really cool.
because most healing modalities work on the symptoms, the anxiety, the pain, the relationship issues. But with this placement, goes straight to the source code, the original programming that created the pattern in the first place. So
Wow.
what that tells me is there's something really profound about your approach, because you're not just clearing energy, you're simultaneously teaching people why the blockage existed, what purpose it served, and how to prevent it from reforming. The guidance that comes through you is not random information. It's
Mm,
precise spiritual education
mm.
tailored to each person's evolution. I would imagine your clients often leave sessions not just feeling better, but understanding themselves and their healing journey in completely
Mm.
new ways.
That's the goal. You hope you plant some seeds, and I think I need to get you to rewrite my website. You're so eloquent, Peter, and the way you have summarized what I do, I hadn't really thought of it like that. I hope that I'm helping people. And it's when you said the ripple effect and like that changing, when I sit, I just say, please allow the highest information and transformation, whatever's for the highest good of that person, so that they can then affect their families and workplaces with their higher vibe. I want the whole purpose and my intention is to help that person, so then they go off in their communities and families and children and pets, and they can have that positive higher vibration.
Mm.
That's what I'm trying to do, is help people. I do get those very strong hits of why something's happened and what's it all about and
Yeah.
what the sole purpose is. That does come through. My beautiful clients, they've been on the journey for a while. They've done the counseling. They just want it gone out of their bodies. They sit in meditation. A lot of them feel energies. A lot of them are healers. And so that to me is just like a privilege to be able to go, okay, let's just extract these last little bits. I don't think we ever heal. I think we're just constantly peeling these layers of the onion. We get to this space, we're just dusting and getting rid of cobwebs, and there's no big boulders anymore or big gaping holes. You hope. I know that I'm healing parts of myself through this work as well. I'm shedding stuff. And today I was like, oh, I think I'm releasing this one too. Like we're both releasing together. So it's this contract that's happened through my soul and their soul. It's allowing me to grow as well as hopefully them.
When you look at the ripple effect, imagine standing at the edge of a pristine pond. You can have two approaches. In one hand, you hold this large boulder, and in the other hand, you've got a small pouch filled with pebbles. You heave that boulder into the water, splash. The impact is dramatic, right? It's immediate, it's impressive. This massive wave radiates outwards, it disturbs everything in its path. And for a moment, the entire pond seems like it's transformed. But if you watch carefully, within minutes, the water settles, the surface returns to its mirror like calm, as if that
Mhm.
momentous disruption never occurred. Now you begin dropping pebbles. One, two, three, and each creates very modest ripples. And it may seem insignificant compared to this boulder's grand entrance, but something remarkable happens, because as you continue this gentle, persistent rhythm, the ripples begin to intersect, to
Mm,
amplify each other, to reinforce each other, and they create
mm,
interference patterns that grow more complex, more far reaching than any single stone could achieve alone. I'm saying this because this is a metaphor for human transformation and
mm,
healing. Many people want to be fixed. And I've encountered some healers that have the boulder approach, where it's all dramatic, but I always say soon ripe, soon rotten. So what I see you doing is here's one pebble, here's another one. Those ripples
mm,
reinforce each other, which
mm.
is a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
The other thing that I was seeing is this transformational healing can shift someone's entire trajectory.
Wow.
I would contend, I don't know whether it's in a single session. I see Scorpio in your chart rules death and rebirth, and your work literally helps people die to old
Mm,
patterns and to be reborn into healthier expressions of themselves. And the fact that you
mm,
can transmute stagnant energy quickly and effectively
mm,
speaks to the Scorpio mastery. where you're comfortable navigating the underworld of human experience and guiding people through their own transformational deaths and
Yeah.
rebirths. How do you experience this channeling process? When guidance comes through you about someone's
Mm.
physical or emotional healing, does it feel like information you're receiving or more
Oh,
like a
yeah.
transmission that flows through
Uh,
you?
it comes in as information. So the first thing I do is tune into the body, and I get mirrored symptoms in my own body. So often I start in the neck, the throat chakra. It doesn't matter if you've got high blood pressure, knee problems, digestive issues. Oftentimes, my beautiful clients, they've had a lifetime of not speaking the truth, fear of speaking, lack of being authentic. So I have to work on the throat and the neck. Sometimes I'm called to, we have to go through vertebrae by vertebrae. I'll clear the throat chakra, but then I'm like, oh, there's all these stuck emotions caught in the vertebrae. That just comes in as a knowing, but then what will happen is I'll say clearing C1. So then I'll cough, I'll burp, and all sorts of things. And then I'll just go, okay, this is anger from when you were 11 years old. That's just coming in as a hit, right? And then they'll say, oh, yeah, I know exactly what it is. So do you want to release it? We release it. Then what will happen is sometimes a light language transmission will come through, or they might tell a little bit of the story. I don't want them to tell too much of the story, though, because I don't want to go back there. This is difficult emotions to process. As it's coming through, sometimes this information will come through in a light language transmission or afterwards or during. It either comes through just that gibberish or half channeled perfectly understood information and half gibberish, or sometimes it just goes and this voice comes out, and it could be Mary Magdalene, it could be, I don't know, whoever wants to come in to give them a message. That 11-year-old self had to go through that because XYZ, and help them make sense of that situation. It could be their 42-year-old self, it could be their 44-year-old self. It just comes in different hits. So I just get that information about the age. So there's the 3D trauma of that. And then sometimes I say, oh, actually, this limiting belief is you have been, this is lifetimes. No wonder you don't want to tell your husband the truth. He killed you in a past life, stuff like that. Although I don't like to give too many details about the past life because people like to cling on to that stuff. They identify so strongly at it. I got killed by my husband in a past life, so no wonder I'm upset. The guides will give me specific information, whether this person needs to know, can we have a bit of a laugh about it? Will they cling on to it as part of their victim story? Or is it to help shed light on this neck pain they have or limiting belief? That's how it goes. It's a real mix of how the information comes through. Sometimes this is dark stuff that people have experienced, trauma, sexual abuse, physical trauma, awful stuff. This light language comes through, that healing for that particular time in their life. And they just say, oh, I felt so held and I could feel the love. And it was like my mother was hugging me. There's a frequency in the light language that tells a story to that person that helps them heal that part of them. I think that's how it works.
Mm.
I hope that makes sense.
Good.
Session's a bit different.
You are the emotional alchemist. This is such a fascinating placement. You can probably tell I'm a little bit excited as well. You have your moon at 29 degrees in Taurus in the third house. Your moon at the 29th degree of Taurus is absolutely remarkable. There are 30 degrees in each sign. The chart is 360 degrees. The moon at 29 degrees is what's called the anaretic degree, which represents mastery. This tells me your soul has completed its education in emotional wisdom during this lifetime. The 29th degree is called the degree of fate. It indicates someone who's been pushed to the absolute edge of what they can handle emotionally, forcing them to develop extraordinary emotional resilience and wisdom. The 29th degree has always fascinated me as an astrologer because it represents what I would call accelerated mastery. Most people develop emotional wisdom gradually over decades. But when you have a planet at the 29th degree, life tends to compress those lessons into intense experiences that force rapid growth. It's like the universe saying, hey, you know what? We need this soul to develop extraordinary emotional capacity quickly because they've got important work to do. What strikes me about your moon at this degree in the third house represents communication and your nervous system. It connects directly to your work as a medical intuitive. It also represents the body's information highway. Your moon suggests to me you've developed an almost supernatural ability to read the subtle energetic information that flows through people's nervous systems. And when you're picking up on someone's physical or emotional blockages, you're literally reading the data that their body's constantly broadcasting that most people aren't sensitive enough to perceive. I also find it significant that this emotional mastery happened in Taurus, which is the sign of embodied wisdom. Taurus materializes, Aries will issue the seed, whereas Taurus will mineralize and materialize it. You didn't just learn to understand emotions intellectually, you learn to feel them in your body, to recognize their physical signatures, and to remain grounded, which is what Taurus would do, because it's the
Hmm.
material realms, and to remain grounded even when working with intense emotional energies. This embodied emotional intelligence is probably why your clients feel so safe with you. They can sense you've been where they are and
Hmm.
emerge stronger and more whole. This placement is perfect for your work because it
Okay.
means you can hold space for others' emotional intensity without
Mm.
being overwhelmed by it. So you've
Yeah.
developed the ability to remain grounded and stable, Taurus, even when working with the most chaotic emotional energies. So your
Yeah.
clients can feel this stability, which allows them to go deeper into their healing processes than they
Uh,
might with someone less emotionally mature. Have you noticed you can hold space for emotional intensities that might
oh.
overwhelm other practitioners?
Yeah, maybe not so much in this role because the colleagues I work with, like the other medical intuitives, we're all the same in that respect. But in my previous role as a school counselor, and even when I worked in running personal development and well-being programs in a prison, when you work in a juvenile detention center in Victoria, it's basically like a mental health forensic unit because there is no forensic mental health unit for teenagers. I was always the calm one. It didn't affect me. I just say they have reactive attachment disorder. Don't take it personally. I worked with the psychiatrist and the psych team. They would tell me, oh, you've got really good intuition. But I didn't know what it was back then. But I could see a kid, I could understand it, but it never really affected me. A lot of people who go into healing are classic empaths. I'm not the empath in that traditional sense. I can feel what you're feeling and I know what you're feeling, but it doesn't go in my body. A lot of people would get burnt out on the kind of work that I was doing at this high school with all these kids with child protection and all this trauma. I would just hold space helping the other clinicians to go through that effect. But I knew that it didn't go in my body. So I'm not the person that when they were 14 would go into a classroom and be totally overwhelmed with everybody's feelings. I could sit, go, she has a crush on him. He likes her. I could sense it all, but it never went in my body. I was lucky like that.
You can maintain your own emotional equilibrium when working with clients who are releasing deep trauma or stuck emotions.
I think what's helped me a lot recently is this deep understanding that you sign up for these issues, right? When somebody is sitting in a capacity when they've paid for a session, how beautiful is it that they're at this stage of this self-care, this nurturing, this wanting to release? It's a privilege to help somebody at that stage. And women, they're in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, and they're just like, I don't want this anymore. I feel so much hope and admiration for their tenacity, their resilience. And that's what I'm feeling when I'm seeing them. I see the overall picture. I go, wow, you're so signed up for this, but look how much of a badass you are. They're tapping into their sovereignty, they're tapping into their voice. What a place to hold that space for somebody who's just really wanting to be that brilliant, authentic version of themselves rather than the
Mm.
people pleaser and all that other stuff. It gives me goosebumps right now, actually, because it's just such a beautiful thing to witness.
You are the teacher of revolutionary wisdom.
Oh, okay.
You have what's called a stellium. That means a cluster of planets in your 10th house. Your 10th house is your public face, your career signature. Your Sun, Mercury, and Midheaven are all in Sagittarius in the 10th house, which is the teacher of revolutionary wisdom. This is your public face, your career signature, your soul's contribution to the world. Sagittarius is the seeker, the eternal seeker and teacher. Having this energy so prominent in your career house means you're here to share wisdom that expands consciousness and helps people see bigger truths. What I find remarkable about your Sagittarius stellium is how it transforms your medical intuitive work into something much larger, what I call healing as consciousness expansion. Most healers work within the paradigm their clients bring to them. However, your Sagittarius energy in the 10th house suggests to me you're shifting people's entire worldview about what healing means and what's possible for human consciousness. When someone comes to you with a physical ailment, you're not just addressing their symptoms. Your Sagittarius nature compels you to help them understand the spiritual and emotional context of their condition, to see their healing journey as part of their soul's evolution, and to recognize patterns that extend beyond this lifetime. You're expanding their consciousness while healing their bodies. It's what I call a unified truth transmission.
Oh, wow. I have an incredible mentor. I've learned so much from him, Patrice Christofiak, who is my mentor, this medical intuitive, around consciousness and healing, our soul's purpose. It's really for self-love. We have to drop into our heart space and have fun. I've learned so much from him, and we're writing a book together because I feel compelled to share some of these messages that he's channeled and has shared with me. I do believe that what I'm doing in a session is trying to get people to tap into their own light language. So I spend a lot of time clearing the throat with them, because what I want for them to have, I don't do packages. I tend to have 1 or 2 sessions. Some people come back for 3 or 4, but really, I want to spend 90 minutes with you. I want to blast everything I can, all the blocks out. Then I want to give you a tool so that once you have a stuck emotion, you can release it with your light language. You do your breath work, you drop into your heart space, you release, you get out of your thinking mind, you get out of your hippocampus. And I don't want you to analyze over it. It's the most effective technology there is to release any stuck emotion, any trauma. I can't prove that science, but it feels so true to me. And when people do tap into that, it's, yeah, I've been speaking my light language. It's really good. Instead of going, I'm so angry at my ex-husband because he did this and that, you just say, you just comes out like that. You go, perfect. Then they have a tool. They're driving back from work in the car and they're speaking their light language. They ask their guides for help. They set the intention, release. To me, that's wow. What a revolutionary way to help people. There's a lot of people in the spiritual community, oh, my light language has codes and I'm going to give them light language. Okay, maybe I'm tapping into a frequency and my channel is like this and I have a good connection. Yes, people can get stuff from my light language. Okay, but I want people to learn the language of their soul. That's how their soul knows what to express. And everybody has that tool.
It's about not building codependence, but moving them from being codependent or even dependent to being independent to having interdependence. That's important. Your identity and communication style are perfectly aligned around one sacred purpose, helping people remember their true nature as spiritual beings having a human experience. I know that sounds very cliche, but when you speak with clients, you're not just conveying information, you're transmitting a frequency of remembrance and awaken something they already knew but have just forgotten. The 10th house placement, your public face, suggests that your work is destined to reach far beyond individual sessions. You're here to contribute to a paradigm shift in how humanity understands health, healing, and human potential. Your individual healing work is actually sending a larger transformation in collective consciousness. So your 10th house placement suggests this teaching isn't meant to be hidden or private. You're here to be visible in your wisdom, to build a reputation as someone who can guide others through transformation. And your work as a medical intuitive, I would suggest, is a form of spiritual teaching disguised as healing practice.
There's a few people that have said they saw me as a communicator and a teacher.
It's there in your
Yeah,
chart. It's
yeah.
there in terms of your public face.
It's funny, I don't really the word healer because I don't even call myself that at all on my website. I really believe in people's self-healing abilities and I just want to hold a frequency for them to release. It's like we've lost that community, that circle of people in our communities where we could go down the village, sit with elder women and men, and they would hold us in this space. We could dance, sing, chant, or whatever it is. That's how we were meant to release. We had these ceremonies. Now people have to go on Zoom and I have to burp and vomit and speak white language for them to remember this connection we're supposed to have. I'm holding a frequency to help somebody remember who they are, this innate healing ability. If people don't want to heal, there's nothing I can do about that. There's some people that have secondary gains and unconscious blocks around releasing. I'm not a miracle worker. They're really doing their own self-healing. I'd prefer to see myself as an energy channeler. I channel energy for people and a communicator. My 20 years in the mainstream and alternative setting teaching prior to becoming a counselor for 7 years put me in good stead for what might be coming ahead.
There is that dynamic healing tension in the chart, which is the pressure between your wound and your emotional wisdom, which has created the exact conditions needed to catalyze transformation, both in yourself and in your clients. I would contend that your sessions aren't only healing appointments, they're initiations into self-worth and authentic self-expression. You have the breakthrough catalyst. This is because in your chart, there's a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Libra in the 8th house. This explains why potentially your sessions can create such sudden dramatic breakthroughs, because Jupiter is about expansion. It expands whatever it touches, but Uranus brings revolutionary change. Now, if you put those two together, in the 8th house is about transformation, death, rebirth, other people's money, shared energy, they create what I call the breakthrough catalyst. This conjunction electrified me. I see it as quantum healing capacity. Jupiter naturally expands and amplifies what it touches, but Uranus brings that sudden revolutionary change. When those two forces combine in the 8th house, in the realm of death and rebirth and shared energy, you get someone who can literally create quantum leaps in consciousness. What's fascinating is how this plays out in your practice. Most healing work follows predictable patterns of gradual progress over time. But your Jupiter-Uranus conjunction suggests you help people bypass years of traditional therapy or healing work in a single or in 2 sessions by creating sudden breakthrough moments that shift their entire energetic signature.
Wow.
And what is also interesting here, the Libra energy, Libra is about balance and harmonization, and it's crucial. It ensures these breakthroughs happen in balance and harmony. Without Libra's moderating influence, Uranus could create change that's too shocking or destabilizing. Libra creates what I call the graceful revolution. In other words, transformation that's profound but not traumatic, sudden but not jarring. So from an evolutionary perspective, this placement suggests that your soul specifically volunteered to help accelerate humanity's healing timeline, because we're in an era where the old slow methods of transformation are not fast enough for what's needed. Your ability to catalyze rapid, deep healing represents a new paradigm that will become increasingly important as we move through these accelerated times of global awakening.
Mhm.
This connection also explains why you're so comfortable working with what others might consider taboo energies. The eighth house also governs the shadow, the hidden, the repressed, exactly the energies that most need to be liberated, but that many
Yeah.
healers are afraid to touch. Your comfort in this realm comes from understanding that what appears dark or dangerous is often power that's been disconnected from love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Have
You're
you
right.
noticed that your
Oh,
clients
yeah.
often
Yeah.
experience these sudden quantum leap
Yeah.
type breakthroughs rather than gradual progress?
Yeah, it's interesting that you describe it like that because the process for me is physically very draining because I know I'm shifting a huge amount of energy in a session. I feel like I can only do one 90-minute session a day because it's such intense work. For me to stay aligned so that it's less physically taxing on my body, I have to prepare an hour and a half to 2 hours before. I can see there's these huge shifts we go through these stuck traumas and it happens very quickly. It's an hour and a half, right? And then it's gone. Then they have to integrate. Some people get sick. You don't just walk away going, yes, I'm fantastic. It does take a while for people to integrate after a session like that. Sometimes they go, oh, I feel worse today. It was like, no, that's actually normal. You might get head cold. You might release. What you're saying resonates with how I feel in the sessions and the breakthroughs. I've had people email me and say, oh my God, everything's changed. I woke up today and blah, blah, blah. So I just go, oh, okay, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's what I'm hoping for, right? Because my ideal thing is that if I just see somebody once, I'm not very good at saying, you need to come back. I just go, look, go and integrate, work it out. And then if you think you need another session, but we've shifted a lot here today, or sometimes I say, you know what, there's something I just couldn't get. Might bring someone else next time, or go to this group. I've got this beautiful lady I refer people to, Mary, who's this incredible sound healer and like an angelic voice. It's got the most incredible frequencies when you listen to it. I say, look, just listen to her nervous system reset. It's free on YouTube. That's going to keep with your releasing. That's how I work. It's all aligned right in my heart. I'm not trying to get people to back. I don't try to book anybody in unless I know they need another session. Then people will come back if they want. That's how it works.
What happened in 1998, 99, 2000?
Oh, that's a good question. I moved to Australia and I became a teacher. So 98, I trained as a teacher. I had been working and doing all sorts of different things prior to, I think I was 28. But I moved to Australia in 1997 and I trained to become a teacher in 98. And then I got my first full-time teaching job in 1999.
This is what we call in astrology your Saturn return. Saturn operates on roughly 29-year cycles. So each return marks a major graduation ceremony in your soul's education. It's like a maturation
Mm.
point. This tells a story, a beautiful story of spiritual development that mirrors what I see in many, I know you don't like the term healer, but in many advanced healers. I would imagine your first Saturn return would be the healer's initiation.
Yeah.
This period likely brought circumstances that forced you to develop the emotional stability and practical wisdom needed for your work. Saturn in Taurus conjunct your moon suggests to me this wasn't gentle. It
No, it
probably
was so,
involved.
oh my God. Yeah. My first year teaching was brutal. What's really interesting about going back to high school to teach is you are confronted with all your own teenage wounds that you haven't healed. When you're rejected by 16-year-old girls, you're not rejected as a 30-year-old. You feel the rejection as a 16-year-old. It's like this constant I want to be liked, right? Like, I'm an adult here. This is ridiculous. I'm a teacher. There was this massive self-awareness and growth around because I struggled with classroom control at the start, but then all of a sudden it came through. But it was baptism by fire, as they say. I was thrown in the deep end. I had some really hard classes. And at the time, I was living with my Australian partner. It was not the best time. It was hard. I certainly started to rediscover. It was all about my self-worth, actually, for sure, because you have to be super confident to be able to handle this. It's a thankless job. Teaching is a really thankless job, especially teenagers. They give you very little, unless they're older in that year 12 and they're just like, oh, thanks, miss. But I'll tell you what, when they're younger, oh my God, forget it. So it was hard.
That validates that it wasn't gentle and it involved, now that you've told me, but What I was going to say to you is that it involved a form of emotional or material crisis that stripped away everything you thought you needed for security, forcing you
Yeah.
to discover the unshakable foundation within yourself. And then this is interesting to me, and I hope it is for you, but it's like this timing aligns with the collective shift in consciousness that was happening at the turn of the millennium.
Uh,
So your personal initiation as a healer coincided with humanity's growing openness to
mm,
alternative healing modalities and energy
mm.
work. So this wasn't coincidence. This is a synchronicity. Your soul had timed its emergence as a healer to serve the collective awakening process. You're approaching your second Saturn return, which is
Ah,
happening around 2027, 2029, which represents what I call the master teacher phase. Saturn is always asking us, what have you learned and how will you share it? Given the power and effectiveness of the work you do, I would suspect this period will call you to expand your influence, perhaps through teaching other healers or writing about your methods. You've mentioned a book, or developing new approaches to energy healing that can be shared much more widely. When I look back at that period around 1998, 2000, was that when you began to recognize your healing gifts or when you started
Um,
working with others?
I definitely noticed probably in my second year teaching in 2000,
Mm.
kids would tell me things and I was doing a lot of counseling, but I was still teaching, but they would tell me things. And I had this capacity to hold space and listen and validate. I knew I wanted to get into the counseling side of
Mm.
teaching, but did I have any awareness back then? No, I had no self-awareness. I was just drinking at the pub every Friday, Peter, because teaching was really stressful. Yeah, I was not in my self-worth phase for sure. That took a long time.
As you approach your second Saturn return, do you feel called to expand your work in new directions or perhaps teach others your methods?
Look, I'm going with the flow and I do the idea of writing a book. I want to share that. I've kept all these notes from all the sessions that I've been on with Patrice, and there's such incredible wisdom that comes out of him. It's totally different to what people are doing, I believe. And the natural teacher in me wants to help people. I do all this individual teaching in the last 15 minutes of a session. Then I did a little workshop, 50 people signed up for it with Amy Matthews, and I co-facilitated this. And I thought that hour and a half session could probably be expanded into 4 sessions. I woke up at 3 in the morning and channeled the whole thing and wrote it all out. So I'm going to offer that in September. I just want 10 people. I don't want it to be too big. I want to be able to transmute the energy of the group so that they can get the most out of it. If it's too many people, that 50 group, it's 3 days of recovery. People don't see that. They go, oh, it's only an hour and a half. I said, no, no. I woke up at 8 in the morning. I burped for 10 hours. It started at 7. It's quite a long recovery when you're doing that kind of transmutation.
You're moving people from comfort to capacity and from pathology to process. Your second Saturn return suggests to me we're only seeing the beginning of what you're here to contribute. The work you're doing now as a medical intuitive is preparing you for an even larger role in humanity's healing and awakening process. Your individual sessions are like seeds you're planting in the collective consciousness. Each person you heal, you facilitate an environment goes
Mhm.
out and influences others through their transformed presence, creating the ripple effect that extends far beyond what we can see. I call this stealth world changing transformation. That happens one person at a time, one session at a time, one healed heart at a time, until
Yeah.
eventually the fabric of human consciousness has been rewoven with threads of greater compassion, wisdom, and wholeness.
That's my vision of the future. I'm trying to get out of my analytical mind, wanting to know and plan. And part of my process is this surrender to what is and being present in the moment and being so grateful for having the most incredible clients and being busy. And so I'm trying to just not think too much about it, because I'm sure there's somewhere in my chart that you can see that I like to have things planned and know, and but I'm trying to let it unfold and not orchestrate the process. If an opportunity comes along, then I'll take it. At the moment, I'm trying to focus on trying to help my clients because I do really like the one-on-one work. A lot of people move out of one-on-one work really quickly because they want to monetize and get the groups and the memberships and all of that. But my soul is called to work one-on-one, and I'm waiting for this nervous system upgrade so that I can have more than one client a day. I'm very called to do one-on-one work.
This is a pebble effect.
Yeah, yeah. I do actually love working in a small group and having people like that as well. But I'm mentoring a person at the moment and I've had other requests, but my capacity is limited. Like I said, I'm going to do a small group mentoring, a small group course starting in September for 4 weeks and see how that goes and see how my body recovers. Because when I'm sitting there, sometimes I can set the intention, I don't want to transmute for 10 people, but my soul says a different thing. My higher self is going, no, you're cleaning everybody today. That's my problem. And these funny things happen all the time. I was going to go to the gym and then I got called to go for a walk on the river, which was quite far from my house. But I got there and there was this homeless lady, a very strange place for a homeless lady. And I walked past her and I couldn't stop burping and burping. And I said to my mentor, am I cleaning her? He said, yeah. The reason why you got called to go to the river was to help that person. Now, it's all, this is just, that's just divinely orchestrated. I'm not walking around going, I want to clean people. Like, I just trying to go about my day. But if that could help that person somehow, I actually gone back to my car to get her some money because I was like, oh, she looks young. And I was going to get some money from my wallet. But then she was really in this deep conversation with herself in that kind of psychosis. I was coughing and burping and I was like, oh my God, what's happening here? So I was cleaning her. That little ripple effect, maybe there was a little demon gone or whatever, and she was able to have a bit more, less paranoid thoughts. I don't really know. I don't really know what I'm doing sometimes, to be honest, Peter. It just
Do
happens.
any of us?
No, I don't know. I don't
No.
know. Yeah.
As we wrap up this exploration of your cosmic blueprint, Peggy, I want to reflect on the profound beauty of your soul's journey. You chose one of the most challenging paths, transforming deep personal wounds into healing gifts for others. Every struggle you've experienced, every moment of doubt about your own worth, every challenge you faced has been building your capacity to hold space for others' healing. Your chart shows a soul that volunteered to serve as a bridge between worlds, helping humanity remember that we are both spiritual and physical beings, that
Hmm.
healing happens on multiple levels simultaneously, and that love is the ultimate healing force. Your
Hmm.
work with energy transmutation is about transmuting separation into unity, fear
Hmm.
into love, and disconnection into wholeness. The timing of your life aligns with humanity's awakening to these integrated approaches to healing. You're part of a generation of practitioners who are pioneering new ways of working with consciousness and energy that will become mainstream. Not
Yeah.
only mainstream, there'll be a new understanding, I sense, in the coming decades. One of the things about pioneers is to see a true pioneer, you have to look for are the arrows in their back,
Oh, I've got a few of those.
right?
I lost my best friend. She just thought she didn't get this work at all. She thought I'd joined a cult. That's been a really hard journey for me. But now I can look at it in neutrality and understand it's all part of the earth game, isn't it? But yeah, there's going to be things like this. It was just too far of a stretch for her to understand what I'm doing. I was just like a regular person before I discovered I had these gifts of removing entities from people and clearing past lives. It's a big stretch for a lot of people that are not in this work.
When you look at your journey from the perspective of your soul's evolutionary purpose, how does it feel to understand that every challenge was a preparation for the healing work that you do now?
Yeah, it makes me feel a bit teary. I fully understand that and embody that I've had many lifetimes of deep suffering and a lot of pain. That's been channeled for me. I also have those remembrances of starvation, beating, torture, you name it. I guess I got caught in some sort of karmic loop. It feels like it's been all worth it. It's been worth it. It feels so distant now because I don't really get emotional when I think of what I've gone through. But now I just feel so thrilled that I can help other people. It's like this excitement that my soul has. It's such a privilege. The first time I got off a call, I had this gift activation. I think it was on a Saturday. And Patrice texted me on a Tuesday and said, would you like to join a session? I said, okay. So I sat there, went on the Zoom call, and I burped. I went to bed and I cried. I just said, oh my God, I have finally found what I really want to do. I know how I can help people. And this is the fastest way. It feels so aligned. It's exactly what I want to do. And people go, those beautiful empaths, my clients, they go, are you okay? You're burping. And I'm like, look, it's okay. It's what my soul signed up for. I'm fine. I feel quite privileged and humbled to have these crazy gifts. It's crazy that I can burp away when you had a bad dream when you're 5 and it got stuck in your neck, and I'm just burping and it's helping you release that memory. Isn't that a little bit insane? The technology that's there.
What do you see as your role in this larger shift towards more conscious energy-based approaches to health and well-being?
I think that I could be a bridge. I would say that I'm a pretty regular person. A lot of people don't even know what I do. If they're not on YouTube and they don't get the algorithms of the spiritual podcasts, they don't know. I just say what they go, I go, I'm a counselor. And I don't say what I do. But I'm not like 6 foot tall. I just wear regular clothes. I'm not in the flowy gowns and the crystals and all that stuff.
You don't have biblical lingerie.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just love that look, but it's not for me. I see people and I go, oh, they're just beautiful earth mamas, right? Because I have an analytical mind and a teaching background, I can understand somebody's skepticism and meet them where they're at. I'm not going to shove it down their throat. I accept people for where they're going. I have the capacity to convince. I'm yet to do it with a few people, but I can say, of course, you're skeptical. That's normal. And there is no proof. It's all based on faith. There's a little bit more proof now. But there's some beautiful pioneers in parapsychology field. There's a lovely psychotherapist called Robert Falconer who's written a book about spirit possession. And this is mainstream psychotherapy. He's my go-to. And I've had a client who's a psychiatrist. I've got a psychiatrist who's a client, and she believes in this work. She understands what demon possession looks like and how it affects the mind. So those are the kinds of things that I cling to, those scientific minds. The journey to release what is blocking you, there's a lot of work involved, right? You can't just go to a healer and they're going to unstuck everything. Like, you have to actually sit in the vibration of forgiveness, self-love, and self-forgiveness. Once you do that work and you're still feeling stuck, that's when you enlist the help of someone. It's not a quick fix. I can't bypass it. If you're getting angry at everybody, if you're getting resentful at everybody, if you're sitting in victim mode, that's the work that you have to do. You're on your own. I can teach you about how karma works. I can teach you all that. But honestly, the work begins with you. So the people that I mostly get are people that have been to therapy. They've done all this. They're like, please, I don't know. And you go, yeah, you've done the work. And I can see your heart space is huge. And now the last person to forgive is yourself. So we're going to work on that today. You have to sit in the vibration of love, compassion, joy, and forgiveness and release those victims. It's all happened for you. Your soul signed up for it. That is one of the hardest things I had to accept about my journey. I actually signed up for all those experiences. But once I did that, oh, how liberating. So you can find me at peggyo.com.au, a very simple website. My surname is very long. I have just a couple of offerings. I do one-on-ones and I have a webinar. I do karma clearings actually, but I wait for them to come in channeled. I'm going to schedule one for the end of July. The statements just came in. I don't just do them monthly or every 2 weeks. They have to come in as something that I feel like has to be released. And it usually comes in a channeled way through meditation. So the next date I got is the end of July. That's what I do.
This has been fascinating. Your natal chart reveals a soul that successfully transformed the lead of personal suffering into the gold of healing wisdom. Your work as a medical intuitive, what I'm seeing isn't just a career, it's the fulfillment of a sacred contract your soul
Oh,
made before incarnating. Every
yeah.
client you help, every energy blockage you clear, every moment of channel guidance you provide is part of your contribution to the healing and awakening of human consciousness. There's something much bigger at play here.
Oh,
Thank you for sharing your gifts with the world and
oh,
for
thank you.
allowing me to explore your cosmic blueprint, which is a privilege,
Oh,
behind your remarkable healing abilities. For listeners interested in working with Peggy, you can find details in the show notes. Peggy, thank you so much for sharing your gifts and for being open and vulnerable and sharing your story.
oh, it's been such a beautiful privilege to share this space with you and hear your wisdom and articulate metaphors, how you describe the work that I do. I'm going to have to rewatch this and extract some words to put it on my website because how you summarize what I do is much better than what I could think of. I'm so grateful for your authenticity and your wisdom. Nobody has articulated what I do like that. I've had many readings on many people who channeled information. Every time I have a client who can channel, I just say, do you have a message for me? But nobody has said what you have said. So that's been very confirming for me. It's made me feel quite, yeah, it's a sacred gift, really, what you've given me to be able to summarize in such a succinct, it was very affirmative. There's no lying. This is a science behind it, right?
Mm.
The astrology. So for me, it's quite profound.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Peggy.
You're so welcome, Peter. Thank you.